Hello, this is a basic tutorial for the new Alliance Proving Ground Warzone. Great, so the first thing that you're going to notice about this Warzone that everybody's kind of talking about is that it's cross-faction. So for the first time you can have teammates from the opposing side. So if you're Sith, you might see Republics on your team and vice versa. So the team is kind of comprised of a jumble of characters within your bracket that are currently in queue for PvP. Great, so we've got that out of the way. You can see I have this map open from a match that I will start playing in a bit. The first thing though that I'd like to just get out of the way is that Alliance Proving Ground is in essence domination. There will be points on the map where you have to capture them, and by capturing them you control points, or you will accumulate points. The first team to accumulate 600 points will win. Okay, so you can see I have my map open. I'm just going to point out a couple things here on this map. So there are 5 control points all around the map. I'm just going to first point out you'll spawn here or here. These are the 2 spawn boxes, depending on if you're in the yellow or so the gold team or the purple team. The 5 control points are here. They're going to be the defense turret up top. They're going to be the tech lab over here, the artifact chamber, the hangar, and the cantina. So those comprise the 5 control points on the map. Great, so I'm going to let this play, and then I'm going to start talking about what it means to control a point on this map. So as soon as, and I'm going to kind of fast forward this a little bit as I go through all the control points. As soon as this match starts, and you can see, as I point out here on the scoreboard, there's a timer counting down. What you're going to see on the scoreboard, and we're the goal team, is between 2 and 3, usually the first one's going to be 2. 2 of the 5 points on the map will become available. I'm not going to say active yet. Meaning they are available for to be captured. Okay. In order to capture node, I'm just going to pause it for a second. In order to capture node, you have to do 2 things. One, you have to be in the node. So you actually have to physically be in the square area within that. So here you can see there's a square area in the defense turret where you're going to try to stand there. The second thing you need to do to control a node is you have to physically be there, and you have to be in sole possession of it. Meaning, if there's another person there from the opposing team, you have to basically get them out of the area. Now, there are a couple ways you can get them out of the area. You can either knock them out of the area, or you can kill them, or they can just run away. So that is how you control a node. If you do not, if say you're there and the other team is in the same node, neither team will actually have control over that node initially. Okay. So again, I'm going to let this video play. And okay, so another thing I'm going to mention is you can see this little circle timer thing going around. That is essentially 90 seconds. That's how long each one of these rounds, quote unquote, lasts. Great. Control of the node will show up in the scoreboard by color. So if the purple team has control, the nodes will show up as purple. If the gold team has control, the nodes will show up as gold. You can see each second of control will correspond to 1 point for that team. So right now the purple team is in control of two nodes, so they will be accumulating 2 points per second, 1 point for each node, so long as they maintain that. So that's pretty much how the scoring goes as far as the map is considered. Pause this for a second. Explain another thing. All right. So how do you potentially lose control? How do we lose control of a node? Right. It's pretty easy to we just talked about initially. How do you gain control of the node? Meaning it's neither team has it. It's great at the beginning. You gain control by standing in there, standing in the box, or in the square, and being in sole possession of it. So losing a node. There are essentially 2 ways you can lose a node. Right? 2 ways you can lose a node. The first way is very common, especially for players that are kind of new to the game, is you have to physically be in the control point to accumulate points and to maintain possession. So I'll pause it right here. This is a good moment. If you, let's say you're standing by yourself in that node, you have control of it. If for any reason you decide to leave that node and leave that node unattended, meaning nobody else is there, then your team will lose control of that node. Okay? You have to have at least one player not in stealth as well. You cannot be in stealth when you guard the node. You have to have that one player physically inside the node, okay? While you're doing it. The second way you can lose a node is through a slicing buff. Okay, slicing buff. And we'll get to that in a second. The buffs are kind of like the added caveat that makes this map a little bit special. But for now, let's just talk about the basic way to lose control of a node. So either you leave it, or for instance, there's a fight at that node, and let's say two teams fight. Let's say purple team had it, gold team is fighting, gold team kills purple team is gone, gold team's there, then gold team will have the node. Okay? So you can kind of see that's what happened in the cantina area just then when the opposing team died. So now as we turn our attention back into the map, we can see that the 90 seconds are over. I'm going to pause it right there. And again, two more active control points will spot up. Not active, sorry. Available control points will spot up on the scoreboard. And that'll correspond to your mini-map as well. Great. So that brings us to, on the notepad part of the section, the map. Checking your UI. Right, I'm going to scroll down. So you guys can see, and this is something I don't really talk about because I did this in a previous video, but whenever I play a Warzone, I like to have all the information in front of me in a very easily accessible manner. Meaning I don't like to rely on callouts from ops chat and stuff like that. And also, conversely, I don't like to constantly be opening my map. So how do I do that? Well, you can see I have an enlarged minimap on my UI, which is right next to my scoreboard. Right next to my scoreboard. So as a result, I'm constantly looking at which points I need to be at physically. Conversely, I'm kind of matching that up with that information up with my mini-map to see, all right, where are my teammates, right? Based off this, you might say, all right, well, my teammates, they're probably going to be able to make it to the cantina, the midpoint. I will probably have to go to the tech lab because I can probably get there faster. So this is all the kind of information that you want to process. And as you can see here, you always want to be paying attention to your UI at all times so that you can really see where you need to be on the map. Because like in any domination game, speed will essentially win it for you, right? If you are paying attention to that. I'm going to jump to a couple points here because I want to point out some things. There are multiple levels within this map. So you can see I'm actually facing the artifact chamber. And the artifact chamber is not directly accessible from the cantina, even though on the map you can see it's right there. And the reason why is because it's on a higher level. That's something that we're going to get into right now, which is the catwalks on this map, which is really sweet because you think of the other Warzone maps that have multiple levels, and you're like, all right, Hutball has it, the last phase of Voidstar has it, but this is really a map that has multiple areas where you can access a second level and really take advantage of that. So you can see right now, this right here that I jumped to, there are access points that you can literally, they're just ramps that you can run up. I think I ran up a ramp here. Every catwalk will essentially lead to, it's going to be symmetrical on either side, will lead to the canteen in some form or fashion. Here you can see as I'm running up, you can roll from that top catwalk up to this level, which will gain you access to the artifact chamber. Right? So that's how you're able to access it. Once you're up here, there are two of these mag cable points that will allow you to kind of like in Cash Ball, you can just click it and that'll allow you to get access up to that catwalk. So you're going to see me do that right now. Really important to understand, as you can see this play out right now, the cantina is a very hot spot. You will always see people there. It's just all aspects of the map will eventually feed to that. There's one more point that I'm going to point out, and I'll just jump straight to that on the video, and you can see I had it saved. So here you can see on my mini-map, I'm at the bottom parts of the map, And this will also, so there are two things I want to point out here. There is a spawn point, spawn capsule that will spawn. There are 4 spawn points on the map. There's one spawn point here, and there's one of these mag cables that will allow you to jump up to the catwalk here. So there's one on either side. And so it's really important that you just know, all right, where am I? This is what you should always be thinking. Where am I on the map? Where do I need to be on the map? Where are my teammates on the map? And what is the fastest way to get them? Because you only have 90 seconds essentially to get to a control point and do something about it. So that's pretty much explaining the map, and that'll bring me to the next part of this tutorial, which is the slicing buff. Okay, these slicing buffs can literally change the course of a battle. They can change the course, well, let me rephrase that, not necessarily the battle, but the score. They can change the course of the score. First thing to understand is, where will these buffs spawn up on the map? Where will they spawn on the map? And I'll go to my map, and you can see that they will spawn at, up at 4 particular points, and I'm going to point that out as soon as this happens. Okay, so pause it. So the points that these buffs will spawn, and they will spawn at various points throughout the game. Usually they'll spawn at the beginning. Is there will be one here, there will be one here up on the catwalk, and one here up on the catwalk. God, I feel like Right Side Fred every time I say that. Sweet. So 4 buffs, right? 4 buffs on the map. Really important. These buffs should always be taken. Always be taken, because, like I said earlier, they can literally change the kind of tide of the match. Okay. So now that we know where the buffs spawn, and you'll see me actually run for them, one of them right on the open. Let's discuss what these buffs do. And there are 4 buffs. Yeah. There are 4 buffs: red, green, blue, and orange. We'll get into them in a second. When you have a buff, when you physically have a buff, and the way that you don't have to click anything, you literally just run over the buff, and it will attach itself to you. Some people freak out when they get the buffs because it limits your abilities. For instance, if you are a stealth team, you cannot stealth up when you have the buff. Okay, so you can see I'm running towards the north buff. I'm going to run over it, and I'm going to get it. Or sorry, my teammate's going to get it. Later on in the map, you see me get other buffs as well. Let's see. So they have a red buff that they got from that point up on the map. Let's see. So actually, I run right to it. So I run up the ramp, run to get it. Okay, so let's talk about it. Once I get the buff, I realize that I will not be able to stealth. The reason they do that is because, because it's such a powerful ability, you are going to be limited in what you do. Okay. Some people are like, how do I get rid of it? Well, this is where you really need to have your temporary toolbar open. So as you can see here, my temporary toolbar shows up right next to my ops frame. It's kind of just like in Hotball. The throw Hotball ability is the same as the slice ability. There's one added thing you could do, and that is to pass the buff to a teammate. You have to be within range of them, and you have to have your teammate targeted, and you can pass the buff to them that way. All right. Again, letting this play out. This is really the key here with the buffs. Okay. It is a 3-second cast. And unlike capping something in a regular Warzone, if you attack the person, the cast still goes, meaning it's still channeled. There are only so many ways to interrupt the cast. First thing you have to do is interrupt. Everybody needs to learn their kick spell, everybody needs to learn their interrupt spell. Second way you can do it is through knockback. And the third way you can do it is through CC. And remind you, it's a 3-second cast, so you really have to be on top of your shit, so to speak, when you want to get this off. Alright, the buffs and what they do. The red one deactivates an active node. So, for instance, if you are, let's say, the purple team, and you have the red buff, and there's a gold node, you want to get that red buff to the opposite team's node, cast it, and boom. They can't accumulate points from that. The team that had that point can't accumulate points from that any longer. That's the red one. The green buff, which is an inactive node, meaning, for instance, if I pause this game right here, if someone had a green buff and they ran it to, say, the tech lab, which is not available at that moment, they can make it available by slicing a green buff. Green buffs are really awesome to use when there are points on the map that are not very populated with people. because you have a pretty good chance of nobody attacking you. Alright, that brings you to the blue and the orange buffs. Those are basically to enhance the amount of points that you accumulate from any active node. So the blue one will be a multiply. That will basically, I don't know if it's exactly ×2, but you get more points per second. And the orange one is the speed one, which means it speeds up that, normally it takes 90 seconds for you to accumulate all the points. I think if you speed it up, it might X2 of that, might bring it down to 45. Alright, the last thing that you need to worry about in this game, and you don't even have to worry about it because this game is in deathmatch, is wave spawning. Meaning you can't just die and respawn. You will die and you will have to wait for certain teammates of yours to spawn when you do. Just important to know that when you spawn, that you are going to spawn on one of 4 points on the map, either here, 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 or here. And as I said before, always pay attention to your scoreboard minimap. Know where you want to go to as fast as you can, because as said in this map, speed, speed, speed is what wins it. That's the tutorial. I really hope that has been helpful to some. Again, there are some class-specific stuff as to who's the best to activate a buff, who's the best to defend, what have you. You can refer to the other forums for that. This was more of a just general overview of what the Warzone is and how best to approach it. Thanks again, and peace out.